I also feel like because you had mentioned like the gay movement. I mean, I'm not too familiar with if there was any like chaos that was going on, but because I mean, I'm used to it now. I mean, I've worked with gay people my entire life. I live on South Beach. It's like you're gonna run into a gay person. Every other person is probably gay.
Yeah.
I'm not
Every
kidding.
other person.
No. Yes. No. But like, I don't know, because I see that. And I almost feel like, okay, you're gay. That's fine. But then if you call, let's say, someone who identifies as a woman, and you say, oh, he did this, they were going to be like, it's like she. It's like, look, like I didn't even know.
Right,
and I feel like that's like where it's almost so delicate. And that's what I don't understand about the movement. Because it's like, sometimes we just don't know. Like I'm identifying you based on what I can see with my eyeballs.
Exactly.
So
That's
don't crucify me because I don't know. If anything, educate me, but then don't look at me like, oh, you're such a bigot, you're an asshole. I can't believe you just called me. And it's like, sorry?
Yeah. What's up, everybody?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of
Coffee Breakup.
starring Christian Vieira and
Marvin Schultz.
man, we haven't recorded in like 3 weeks. I'm like, wait, what do I have to say again?
I know, but I'm excited.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you're watching us now, we are probably on Patreon. This is super bright over here.
Yeah.
Watching us on Patreon, listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, clips on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed there. Social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter.
We got our website, thecoffeebreakup.com. And yeah, check it out. You know, we got some.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, we're back with another episode after a long hiatus from you, my friends.
Yes.
So weird to be here.
It is, but I'm also like, it's nice to kind of, disconnect and then come back and I'm like refreshed.
Do you feel refreshed?
I feel good, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
I can't say the same about you. You look fucking
I do feel a little bit
under the weather.
That's why I'm like trying to stay away from
I
you guys.
appreciate
So I'll
that.
let you do most of the talking.
sure,
so
for
I'll
sure.
affect everybody.
And you'll jump in. We got a good episode. I'm very excited. We have Emma Rose on the podcast.
I am so happy to be here.
pretty cool. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
cool.
you had reached out, I think, about a month, a little bit longer, and we originally not from Miami. You're out of town. You're in Vegas right now?
I'm in Vegas now. I'm originally from Tampa, but I grew up in Polk County in Florida.
Okay.
So I went to college out here in 2014 to 2017.
Okay.
And then I was like dancing during college.
Mhm.
And I transitioned in the very last semester of college. And so in 2017.
Okay.
And then I was still dancing on and off at some trans clubs, and then later on at some like regular strip clubs. And then when COVID hit, I was like, oh, I don't want to do dancing anymore. And so I finally, that's when I started porn.
Yeah. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you had reached out and you were like, you said that you were trans and that you wanted to come on and speak about it and give your take on it and give your experience and your perspective, which is I think is really great because we've never had anybody on who is trans. And so we've had people reach out like, hey, listen, like you guys should do this, should bring on some people. And it's like, it's kind of hard because A, I mean, we don't really know anyone. And B, it's like, maybe not everybody's comfortable talking about
For
it.
sure.
Feels like more taboo to a certain
Yeah.
degree, especially now with everything that's
And there's
going
like
on.
the whole entire like mob after you, like
Yeah. Well,
that's why I messaged. I think it was like 7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
On one of I think it was with Casey or
Casey Chop?
Chop.
Or was
yeah, it was
yeah.
on that podcast, and one of the things I was saying, I saw like all the hate on it, and I remember messaging on that reel, and I was like, hey, if you ever want someone who's like very open to talking, who's not going to take something
Yeah.
personally, and like no one ever saw it, but I'm happy that I reached out and that you saw the message.
Yeah, I didn't see. Yeah, because I mean, sometimes we get a lot of comments, and
So
it's kind of
many
hard
comments, oh
to
my
kind of
God.
follow up. And a lot of it is kind of bullshit, and you know how the comment section can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you had reached out, I think via DM, I was super excited. I was like, let's make this happen. So when you said I'm in Miami, I was like, we'll drop everything. We'll do it. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Just because I'm very open and I'm very understanding. But a lot of people that I know, they might not, or they may have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. So when it comes to the whole everything, I mean, I guess first of all, I don't think I've ever thought about asking that, but do you identify as a woman? How do we address you?
So I identify as a woman.
Okay.
I personally hate the pronoun game.
Yeah,
I feel like during the day, if you see me as a woman, I'm a woman. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna go out of my way unless it's something like LA. I feel like I don't live in LA. I like Vegas.
Sure.
And I grew up on a farm. So my parents are super Southern.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of the times is like how you are perceived is when you're living. It's like your daily life. If someone sees you, and like me, I don't have to have makeup on. I can wear baggy clothes. I can wear a baseball cap, and no one ever is gonna like say, "Oh, sir," here, yada yada yada. And I don't have to try so hard to be feminine.
Okay.
And so I think that throughout my like daily life, I go by a woman just because it's how I am perceived. And that's what I've made my whole transition about, is to be passable, because passable is security.
I like that. So because with the whole like the pronouns or whatever, it's he, she, non-binary.
There's so many now.
Like I don't understand.
It's a lot.
Yeah, like a few years ago, it started off with he, then there was she, then they. But then I would see like a lot of reels or TikToks of, I identify as, and then it's like, it looks like a recipe.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
for
so
cooking.
many things.
Well,
and I think that this shift, definitely after COVID, and I think TikTok has had a big role.
Sure.
And about how when I transitioned in 2017, I honestly think that it was easier transitioning back in the 2010s, because it wasn't all the time and every single platform, trans. It wasn't in every conversation. It honestly gets kind of like exhausting at times. Just like every time I look online, I'm like, the last thing I want to see is something about my community. And I think that my biggest goal was to assimilate into the culture, into the gender that I want to be. So act like a woman, talk like a woman. It's like just live your life. If you want to be a woman, be a fucking woman.
Okay.
And now I think that there's a big switch to, especially with non-binary, and like I don't know how it is to be non-binary, so I can't speak for them.
Sure.
But I do think that there's a big shift in thinking that there's almost like a third identity. There's like men, women, and then trans. But to me, like I think there's a difference between transgender and a transsexual. Like I'm a transsexual. I have made my body medically different. I've taken hormones, I've had surgery, I've been castrated. I've had all of these surgeries to be as close to a woman as I possibly can, and how I live my life. I don't live every day like a statement, and I do understand how some people that makes them feel good and makes them feel euphoric, but at the same time, the trans community is so diverse, and it's like so impossible to be like, oh, this is what we all think. And I think that a lot of times transsexuals like me, we don't really speak out because we don't want to be seen as other. Like we just want to live our life. We don't want people looking at us. And I think a lot of times with non-binary and with people who are like gender non-conforming, they really want to be seen as other than man or woman. They're not on the spectrum. They're something else. But at the same time, that isn't what a transsexual stands for. And like there's so many like infighting in my own community that it's so hard for people who are not in the community to even understand what's going on.
Yeah. It could be overwhelming because it's so, like, I understand. So the transsexual is if you convert from male to female, female to male, and then transgender is if you were the gender but you dress maybe in a different way.
So trans now is like an entire umbrella term. So even if like I personally don't agree with everything. Like if you literally said if you want to be a woman today, like you're technically trans, and I don't agree with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's crazy because like I think that you really have to put in the work. It's like it's not just it's nothing you can turn off and on. It's not like when you're a certain race, like you are that race, and you cannot change that. You can't change your ethnicity. Your gender is something, if you are solid in it and you're living your daily life, it's not something that can switch back and forth. It's something that you really hold true to your true self, and you have a strong conviction of who you truly believe that you are.
Okay.
And I think that should go throughout years, especially with like hormones and like going through therapy and all of that. It's really important.
There's some people that say that although you can identify as a woman or as a man or whatever, but you cannot change your gender, right? You can say, well, you're born as a male or as a female, you know, depending on your chromosomes, you know, X, Y, XX, whatever. But you can do all the transitions, whatever, but biologically you're still a male, or vice versa. So it's like, I feel like gender is, to me personally, and I don't want to offend anybody, it's very black and white. Now it's either a man or you're a woman. Now if you want to go to transition and you want to identify as a woman, even though you're born a man, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. However, I don't understand the whole thing of like, okay, well, like I identify as a male or as a woman or whatever, because biologically, but you're not. Yeah. Right? I mean,
so there's sex and there's gender. So sex is what you're saying. It's like the chromosomes. Like me, I'm a biological male. I was born like as a boy, and then I took hormones. And so gender is more of a construct. So I think that a male and a man are two different things. to me.
A male and a man are two
A
different
male
things?
and so a male and a female, and are very like scientific terms. So
Okay.
you're a male or you're a female, which is from your chromosomes, from your birth, and then your gender is the what you live as.
Yeah.
So socially,
What
because
do you identify as?
yeah, what you
right?
identify
Okay.
as, but also it's like I think it goes beyond just what you identify as, because you can identify as a woman, but if you still have a beard and you're living your life and you're like, oh, I'm a woman, and no one's seeing you as a woman, then it's like, tough luck, buttercup. Like it's like it's, you know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah.
not just an internal struggle. It's the world around you. It's how you interact with others. It's how you live and you move around the world around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where it's a little bit because I'll see videos of man, I'm telling you, like they're like older men like with beards, and you could just see that, dude, like that. Not a day in your life did you even try, right? Maybe you just grew your hair out, and that's
Yeah.
the most as much as
Or
it is.
change your pronouns.
But they have a beard, and then they're like, oh, I'm a woman, and I'm not gonna get stopped if I want to go to a woman's bathroom because now I identify as a woman, and it's like, sir,
Yeah,
I
no, it's like
apologize.
definitely, it's like it's crazy, and plus it's really unsettling, and it's kind of like the loudest minority of the trans community speaks the loudest for everybody, so then everyone gets a bad taste in their mouth a lot of the times, when like most of us, like you would never even know that we're using the bathroom, because I'm like, I just want to go to the bathroom, get the fuck out.
right.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, and I think I had made that point earlier before. It's like I feel like whatever you see on social media, I feel like there's small pockets of very, I don't want to say extreme, but very, very strong opinions that often are the loudest. But that doesn't mean that they represent the entire group
Exactly.
of the community. In terms, like, trans community, I feel like most trans people are probably just trying to live their life, right? You know, like I just want to I'm not hurting anybody. I'm doing my thing, whatever, X, Y, and Z. And what's the problem? But then
But there's also the extremes.
there's also
well.
but you can apply that to anything in life. There's extremes on every spectrum and in every social construct and in every issue.
And I do think that like with the movement, when it really became the trans movement, I think that was when, and pretty much any movement really is, when it comes to like a huge collective force, that is when a lot of things start becoming like issues, and that's when everybody thinks it's a big stroke. And so I feel like people, it's hard for one advocate to speak for the whole entire community.
Of course.
So people like Dylan Mulvaney or something like that, I know like they're probably like right now the biggest advocate for the trans community, which is not representative of everybody.
Okay.
Especially.
Yeah. You had said something, well, speaking of, you said bathroom, and you had said something about bathroom too, if I may ask, because that's also like a hot topic issue.
Yeah. Oh, especially coming in Florida too. Everything happening.
So when you go to the bathroom, you go to the woman's bathroom, or
yeah, I do. I go to the women's bathroom, but only the bathroom. I don't go to any facilities. I'm not going to go into a locker room.
Okay.
If I'm going to the gym, I'll do the individual ones.
Okay.
So it's not
like the unisex almost.
Yeah, it's like a door that locks, so like no one can come in.
Yeah,
no one
I know
can
what you're talking
like
about,
anything like that, because like even though I'm castrated, I still have my penis.
You have a penis.
So I would never. Plus, if you're trans and you're living your life as a woman, you don't want anybody to see that shit. Okay, like you're living your life as a woman, and so if anything, I feel like the only people who really see my dick is because of porn or my personal, like my significant other or something like that. It's like that's the only time that I'm really feel like having like where you know that I was not born a woman, and then of course like I no periods and stuff like that.
Sure.
But yeah, I would never be anywhere that I would expose my bottom half. I have been in gyms where I'm changing my tops because I'm keeping my bottoms on, but I don't want to have my top on.
Okay.
So I've changed that in a locker room, but I've never taken my bottoms off in a locker room ever.
Okay. There is I know there's some people that say, well, they maybe wouldn't be comfortable with you using a woman's bathroom if they have maybe their father or their mother and they have their daughter in that bathroom. I know there's some people that, hey, listen, you still, you did a transition, whatever, but biologically you're still a male, and I don't want to subject my child to you, for example.
For sure.
I'm not saying that I feel that way, but there are some people who might have that feeling. What would you say to them? Because I can understand their perspective, right? You have a kid, you want to protect that kid.
For sure.
But yeah, you did the transition. People might not even notice that you're.
So I think.
How do you feel about that?
So I feel like for personally for me, I've never run into an issue, thankfully, and I do. That's why I say possibility is security. Like if nobody knows, no one's gonna give you an issue. There have been times when I just feel uncomfortable if it's really busy in the bathroom, and if there is ever like a family room or something where it's like one. I usually do use that if it's because it's easier.
Sure.
But a lot of the times, like I just mind my business.
Okay.
And if someone did give me an issue, then I'm like, okay, like I'll deal with that. But it's one of those things where I'm like, if you are so invested on like what people are doing in the bathroom, then I'm like, okay, then maybe like there's something going on. However, and I will admit that at the beginning of my transition, when I was not as passable, I was way more wary of using the bathroom.
I can see that, yeah.
And
because that could be tough.
and then there's different things, and then there's also like accessibility to surgery. Some people aren't passable, some people will never be passable, and those are like the struggles that like something that I relate to back in the day, and not anymore, and I have empathy for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you still have to be aware of what you look like and who you are. And I do think that there are a lot of options for like using the third bathroom where it's separate. But at the same time, if you really need to fucking go to the bathroom, and if you're in this kind of androgynous state, it can be dangerous in both bathrooms. Like you could be like going into a male bathroom, I could look like this in a state that has me banned from using a bathroom. True. And it's still very dangerous. Or girls who have had their pussy done, who've had gender reassignment surgery, and there are still some people who are like, you can't be in the bathroom because you are born a man, even though they have tits, they have a vagina, they have everything, and then
how would they even know?
Exactly. And a lot of times it comes in with like religion and stuff. So like girls who are Muslim who can't show their hair, and it's very personal, like a battle. And I understand that, and I'm very empathetic, but at the same time, I do think that it's still, even though it's a bathroom, it's still a public space.
So let me ask you this, because I was watching a video the other day on Instagram, and the algorithm will get you all over the place,
Yeah.
But it was actually about it was a girl who she was talking about the Olympics, not the Olympic swimmer, was it the Olympic swimmer or the swimmer Leah Thomas, that she was winning all this stuff, whatever, and she was talking about an experience that she had, and this is the girl, not Leah Thomas. This is the girl.
It was the blonde girl, right?
I think so. Where she's talking about like, oh, I'm there literally in the dressing room, and we're all there, and we just see Leah Thomas come in, and you had this thing swinging around everywhere, and it's like you see that almost like without caring, because then I hear you, and you're like, you almost not like you want to fly under the radar, you just don't want to like deal with shit because you just want to live your life. But then you see things like that where Leah Thomas is there just swinging the Johnson around, and then the rest of the women that are there, they're like, am I supposed to accept this?
And then they also get like shamed or like going pretty much in trouble by the higher ups if they speak out about it. And I do think that that's wrong, because I think that the entitlement of a lot of trans people is getting out of control. And it's like, because everyone should get along. Everyone everybody wants trans people to be comfortable in their own skin, but at the same time not sacrificing their own happiness. Sure. And that is not asking for much. It's just it's fairness. Yeah. And I do think that like some people don't have any self-awareness of like what's going down there. And also I think that there's a big change of like gender dysphoria. To me, I feel like you need gender dysphoria to be trans. And now it's like, in like a lot of the rule books and stuff, you don't really need that anymore. And I'm like, then what the fuck point of transitioning? What's the point? What's the point? So I do think that, no, I could never imagine myself doing that, and like just having it swing around like crazy on set for porn for sure. Like it's fine if I can swing it around like a helicopter, but I mean like in daily life, absolutely not.
I think we obviously you have a lot of self-awareness and again, when it comes to like the bathroom and stuff like that, I think it's like, dude, it's people just need to mind their business.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a big solution is that. And I've seen it like in different countries where, and then I just came back from a trip and it's like, went to the bathroom and a lot of it is like just like unisex. Like I was in Japan, I was in Australia, and it's like, and then the individual stalls are not like here, like open, but the entire, it's indoor, it closes, it's completely sealed, but it's unisex. Like you can go as a man, as a woman, whatever you identify.
You have your own like little pod to do.
Yeah, you have your own pod. You have, a lot of them even have their own, like you can wash your hands and all that stuff like that. So, but it's very like modern, it's very structured, and then they do have the ones where it's like a family bath, like a family room, or if you're handicapped, if you're disabled, if you're trans, I guess you can use it. But it's like I feel like in other countries, it's not even like a big deal. It's just like this is it. This is for everybody. It's not for trans. It's not just for trans. It's not just for disabled people, a man or woman. It's for everybody. You go, you do your business, and you clean up after yourself, and you leave.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And I feel like a lot of people, it's like a very polarizing issue. When should it really be that important? Should it really be that divisive? And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah. I think it's because a lot of other countries aren't so gendered in their way of thinking or sexuality and all the things. I think that America is very polarizing with gender, and they've even made being trans a commodity because they make a lot of money off of it. It's a very it's a whole fucking movement. Yeah. So I know I've talked to a lot of trans girls who transitioned earlier in their lives, both both as children in Australia and in the UK, and it is very different than transitioning here as an American. It's because they have different roles. It's very thorough. It's honestly it's not just, oh, here's some hormones. It's like they really put you through so much shit overseas. And now with this whole entire thing happening in America, it's actually really affecting other cultures, that a lot of other trans girls are getting really upset with Americans because they're like, it was never like this before.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, why do you think it's become such a polarizing topic? Because like this conversation right now, we're just talking, you know. But why do you think? Because to your point, I also think that not only just with social media, but because we get forced with everything with the topics of America and how polarizing it is here in the U.S. Why do you think it's so much more of a big deal here than it is anywhere else?
Being trans or
or the movement.
I definitely think that I just think it's just everybody after COVID was like the biggest change, and even how everyone I feel like reacted to me. I feel like I never had any issues until the end of 2020, as when people really started having an opinion about my transition and about people who would even name call me. Like no one really called me a man or he or been an asshole in 2017 during college. Even people who didn't understand, they asked me questions. Like everyone was so nice. And then it was really after COVID, and then I feel like everybody just really wanted to be I think the whole entire movement of this new feminist wave. And I do think that a lot of it is I'm trying to word my words correctly. I just think that it's just, I don't even know. It's just so crazy.
That's the
biggest
question I have, because I'm like, why is it this big of a deal?
And it's almost it's like the gay movement was great, and I think the trans movement is so much more toxic because it just happened very naturally, especially when gay marriage was turned over and approved in 2015. Right. And then with the trans movement, it's almost as if a lot of times a lot of trans people are turning against the LGB and the movement, and now a lot of it's splitting, and there's so much infighting. It's so sad that a lot of gays and lesbians
individual groups.
Yeah, and it's and plus there's so
them.
many different things, and then especially with the rise of non-binary against transsexualism, now I feel like a lot of times there's not a lot of understanding. So it's just a mess. It's a hot mess.
Yeah. I also feel because you had mentioned the gay movement. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not too familiar with if there was any chaos that was going on, but because I'm used to it now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've worked with gay people my entire life. I live on South Beach. It's you're gonna run into a gay person. Every other person is probably gay. Yeah. I'm not
every
kidding.
other person.
No. Yes. No. But I don't know, because I see that and I almost feel like, okay, you're gay, that's fine. But then if you call, let's say, someone who identifies as a woman, and you say, oh, he did this, they were gonna be like, it's she. It's look, I didn't even know. Right, and I feel like that's where it's almost so delicate, and that's what I don't understand about the movement, because it's sometimes we just don't know. I'm identifying you based on what I can see with my eyeballs.
Exactly.
So that's don't crucify me because I don't know. If anything, educate me, but then don't look at me like, oh, you're such a bigot, you're an asshole. I can't believe you just called me. And it's sorry?
Yeah. And I'm honestly very surprised at how strong the movement, and how even though so many just biological people who've gone along with and are also chastising people, already like yelling at people about like, oh, like, no, their pronouns are this, da, 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 da. And I was like, how I don't even know how, I mean, they did an amazing job at hijacking whatever the fuck happened. Yeah. But it's also very fucking terrifying because like it's education. And like, I don't think that you misgender someone because you said the wrong thing. You misperceived them. And it's not your fault.
Right.
I think that there's a difference between misgendering and misperception. If I tell people, especially this happens online all the time. Like I can have no makeup on, I look like a woman,
right.
And during my daily life, nobody knows. And then so many people are like, oh, I could tell your hands, yada yada yada. And I'm like, and then they start calling me he, and I'm like, okay, now that is misgendering because you're being an asshole.
Yeah, purpose, right?
It's
the intention.
It's the intention. And I think a lot of times, like I think people just misperceive, or like, it's not that big of a deal. Be like, hey, or I hate it when they always make it like they ask your pronouns. I did a TikTok on this before, and they asked me my pronouns, and I'm like, I look at them and I'm like, what do you think I am? And they're just like, oh, I just want to know your pronouns. But then they're only asking me because like in a group of people, then they know I'm trans. And so then I just feel like so outed because like they want to ask if like us three hanging out, someone came up to me and like, what's your pronouns? And they want to ask you. It's like it's being a fucking asshole.
Yeah, almost. It's like you're targeting me.
Yeah, exactly. And like that happens so much in like places like LA and New York and about these really big like liberal places because everybody has like all these different pronouns, and like I understand that, but that's something that like you pull off to the side. And you just say what you want. Or if you want to start the conversation and you think pronouns are important, you can say yours, but do not expect me to say mine back or people to join with you. If you think it's so important to you, it's fine. It's not important to me.
I think that's what the big problem is, that it's almost like they want to force you onto this. Like, hey, I need you to deal with my stuff. Yeah. And it's like, I don't need to. Why are you making me do something if I don't want to do it? If you want to do it, by all means. But it doesn't mean that I have to follow suit. And I feel like that's where it's a little bit kind of delicate. And I think that's where like I don't want to say toxic, but that's kind of where it's very abrasive, because it's almost like you need to be careful of what you say. If not, you get like we're talking about exactly, because you just say the wrong thing, and it's like we just don't know.
It's like walking almost on eggshells. It's like everybody's so easily offended, and then if you like, you can't even like you say something maybe even towards a trans, and then all of a sudden it's like you're anti-trans. I'm like, no, I'm not anti-trans, but it doesn't, just because you're trans doesn't exempt you from like common decency. And if I want to call you out, I call you out, not because you're trans, but because you're being an asshole.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But you can't even do that anymore because now you're anti-trans.
Yeah,
you say one thing and it's like you're anti-trans. I'm like, no, I'm not. You know, I'm not.
No.
And so I think the whole trans movement, especially in the past couple of years, I think the intentions were in the right place. But again, you were saying it earlier, with any movement on that scale, it's just like it's easy for things to get corrupted and compromised. Think of it, but Black Lives Matter, right? The notion was good, the idea was good, but then a lot of people, they abused the money that came in. People that thought like
scams,
and it's like
like it's not like, of course Black Lives Matter, nobody disagrees with that, but I think it became such a
but
toxic,
the movement itself, like the company.
It became a business.
Yeah.
And so with any business, there is going to be some corruption.
And exactly what I was saying with the hormones and stuff. I think that if you follow the money a lot of times is that I think this one teacher was saying, oh yeah, like half of my kids are non-binary. And I'm like, statistically, that's fucking impossible.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. And I'm like, and I think a lot of times people are getting confused with non-binary as an identity and gender expression. Like I grew up on a farm. My parents are very Southern. I shot guns. I did archery. I hunted. I still have my masculine streak, but I'm still very feminine. But as a kid, I was always trying to be like what my dad wanted. I wanted to be very masculine. But when I was a child, when I thought about the future, I always thought that I was like I always thought in the future as a girl. Like when I thought of myself as a grown up, I thought myself with a husband. I thought of myself as like a businesswoman. Really? Yeah. And I thought it was just what like little gay boys thought. And so when I was growing up, I was asking all these other guys, and then they're just like, no, that's not what I feel. And I never met my first trans person until I was 19. Okay. So like I said, I grew up on a farm. I was an FFA. I was on all that. So
like your nearest neighbor is like 300 miles away.
Like literally, it was in Polk County, and like it was my next. They were a cattle rancher, and the other one was a horse rancher. Yeah. And so it was like in the boonies in Polk County. It's still, I mean, like 30 minutes. You can go to like Tampa and stuff like that. But still, like where I grew up, I was in the woods. Everything. It was very southern, and then so. I came out as gay when I was in 6th grade because my dad heard me on a phone talking to this guy that I really liked. And then, it's so funny, my dad, he was like, he's like, I don't care if you're gay, just don't be the bitch in the relationship. And I'm like, surprise. And then later on, my mom, she was like, you're not gay, you just like boys. And I never understood that because I always had, like, I was trying to be masculine so much, but around her, I was very feminine. And I feel like she saw like the little kind of girl in me.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I met, her name was Aubrey Nicole, when I was 19, or I think I was 18, right before I turned 19. It was the first time meeting someone who was trans, and I think that was when I was like, it was almost like that That's So Raven moment where everything was like flying back to me at all these points in my time when I was a kid. So like my grandpa, I remember I don't remember saying this, but he was like, yeah, when you're a kid, you said you felt you were wired wrong, and it wasn't because you liked guys. And it was because I was trans. So I think that throughout that whole entire time, I didn't find out until later, and I always had all of these inklings and these hints, and I was just like, I always felt so weird, and I'm like, I just don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. I thought it was body dysmorphia. And so then I started taking steroids at 19 to get bigger, and then I was like, I hate my body even more now. I was like, because I'm getting muscles, I'm getting all this hair. I was like, I'm even feeling like way more like anxiety and feeling fucked up. And then, so when I met that, like the trans girl for the first time, then I was like, okay, now this actually makes sense. And then I went to therapy when I was 20, and then I started hormones at 21. And then even back then, hormones, going back to like I was saying, follow the money with the hormones, they made you go through some shit. You had to live a year as your gender before hormones.
Okay.
And now they don't need to do that anymore, and I don't like that. Okay. And my therapist was a trans man. So he knew what it was to be trans. You know what I mean? He really helped me get through some trauma. And so make sure that, like, are you transitioning because of shit that happened when you're a kid or because you're depressed? And he really went through, and I love him so much that he really, I feel like I'm so self-aware as a trans woman because he really got through the bullshit and made sure that I'm like, this is why you're transitioning, is because you feel very strongly that you want to live as a woman. Correct, and it's not because of some other mental disorder.
Interesting.
I like that. I think you touched on some really good points, and because how old are you now? Forgive me.
I'm 27.
You're 27.
Yeah, I'm 6 years on hormones now.
Baby.
So for me, yeah. So I in terms of, I think you did it, I feel like the best way possible. Almost, I want to say, because like there's a lot of people say, well, you know, when you're a minor, when you're a kid, like you should be able to do the transition and be made aware and all this stuff like that. And it's like, I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like if you're a child, if you're a kid, you're a minor, you're a kid. You don't know. Now, when you're 18, 19, you can make your own decisions. Yeah. By all means, if you want to transition, if you want to go through the process, by all means, I would support that. But there's these things you see on social media, people are like 12 years old and like, oh, am I going to transition? And I'm like, 12 years old? You don't know what the fuck you want to do.
Or kids doing it behind their parents' back because they went to like a school and then they said, hey, I don't feel this, I feel a certain way, whatever. And it's like, maybe you felt the same way when you were a child, but you know, like you grew up and you were 18 and then you went to therapy. And I feel like you did it in a manner that it's like, is this really what I want to do? I think you were guided properly. Because the first, like, one of the things that you said that really stuck with me was the fact that you said you have to go a year just living as the other before committing
now they don't have that anymore.
And that's what I think is the biggest thing, because then you were saying, oh, well, you know, sometimes there's depression that you're going through. Maybe there's just some episode in your life that now you want to really commit to this whole new life. And it's like, maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's something a little bit more delicate. Maybe something that we have to kind of dive in a little deeper to heal that. When for you were feeling almost like you were the other identity almost your entire life. You just couldn't really pinpoint because I guess it wasn't a conversation. But then once you got older, you're like, oh, this is making more sense. And I think that that's where it's a little scary, because then we talk about the youth where they don't know. What if they're going just through some issues in school? They don't know what the hell is going on. So then it's like, should they be empowered, or should they have the power to make that decision at that age? I don't know. I don't think that they know enough
at that age. I feel like I'm like 95% like a no. There's a small percentage that I think that if your kid is like, because there are many trans kids like that are they know who they are when they're young. And I think as a parent, you don't put them on hormones. You don't put you guide them, be like, you can have them explore their gender through hair, through clothes, you don't have to put them on shit that they're going to be fucked up forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be a loving parent. Be like, you just support them. And I think this is the thing that they need years if they're born a little boy and they're like, I just feel I want to wear dresses. I don't want this, mom. And you just support it and just say, okay, you're not going to push anything. You can just see, you can guide them and make sure that they're not going to do anything fucking stupid. But also I think as a loving parent is just making sure that they are just living their life as happy as they want to be and not pushing all of like the social media. I think that people give social media to their kids way too early. I think that's why they're getting, and you're at a very malleable stage of life where you don't know what the fuck you want, especially where a lot of detransitioners are biological girls who, and I can't imagine having my first period. I can't imagine being bullied or being sexualized as a kid, because like it is so hard being a little girl that of course I want to be a fucking man, and then they're taking testosterone and all these things without just having that like tomboy stage where it's like, it's totally fine. You don't need any of this. Just enjoy your fucking life. And you don't have to be put on surgeries. You don't have to be put on hormones. And I think that maybe after, if they are just, you'll know if your kid's trans for sure, if like they've just been like that forever. Otherwise, I think that later on is just you really teach them coping mechanisms, and then later on, then you can be on puberty blockers. I think that puberty blockers are just really bad for your development if you're 12 or 14, because then it's like you're growing up and you need all of these hormones in your body because you're growing
just to develop properly
and for
into
your
a human
brain.
being.
So even personally for me, when I transitioned at 2017, I didn't get my body done until 3 years in. I got my face done 4 years in. I got my tits done 5 years in. I didn't have surgery for 3 years. Because I think that so many people forget the mental trauma that happens to you with surgery. Is like you are still healing, and now the world looks at you differently. Now you're getting different attention. Now you're interacting with people very differently. Exactly. And then like people who get their tits done, their face done, their body done all in 1 year, now you're a completely different person. And I feel like your brain hasn't caught up with that.
Like, is it ready to handle that?
And I think that as a kid, when you're growing up, having a really understanding, supportive parent to be like, okay, this can happen and this can happen, and not just pushing them, not going into a gender clinic. I don't like gender clinics because I feel like they have an agenda and they have something that's like they're making money. Going to a professional like it was a private practice. He had a sliding scale. He was a trans man. He just really wanted me to be happy. He's just like, I'm not trying to push you in anything. And he even said, you might not be trans. And I know that some people are like, oh, it's self-ID. Like, I know I'm trans. I'm going to go get my hormones. Like, no, just because you want lipo, they're not going to be lipo. And just because like you think that you want this, like you need to prove yourself. Yep. And I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's like negative. I just think that's like, it's really good for your mental health and your well-being, for longevity, because I think as kids, sometimes I think that the suicide rate for children is so high because they don't have a grasp of the future. Yeah. And so many people are like, oh, I would be dead by now. But I'm like, no, there's a lot of people who are transitioning in their 40s and 50s because they didn't know it was an option. They didn't kill themselves. They were just unhappy. Yeah. And it's because like you'll cope. You'll be fucking miserable. But at the same time, now, if you have different avenues of therapy and support networks, and this is why it's so important to have a very supportive family, and a lot of trans kids don't understand that. But it is like, it's not something, surgery is not going to help your soul. Surgery is not going to make you feel better. Therapy will, but also you have to use it as a tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, you touched on so many really good, important things. Oh, yeah. And I think one of the key points is also like, you said it in terms of social media. Mm-hmm. Like, as a parent, it's your responsibility to kind of raise your child. And a lot of parents, I think, they don't take the accountability. They say, well, the school, you're in control. If you give your 4-year-old child access to TikTok and the stuff that they see on social media, of course they're gonna have a certain narrative. Of course they're gonna take all that in, and they have certain notions about the reality. When really, that's all you see on TikTok. But it's like, parents need to be parents, and they need to do a better job. And then maybe some homeschooling could be a good opportunity for some people, especially in what's going on in the school. A lot of the schools, not every school, but a lot of them. But people need to take accountability, and they need to restrict. They need to observe what these kids are taking
guide
on.
Guide
them, yeah, of course.
Like, that's what parents do. That's why I don't talk to my mom anymore. I haven't talked to her since 2018. But my dad, my best friend, like literally, I talk to him every day. He's like, what he said to me, and I know some people would be like, that's offensive, but my dad, he, like, I remember, because we didn't talk for a couple of years, because I kind of just ostracized myself from my family as I transitioned until I felt comfortable enough to come back, because, like, they just didn't get it. And I was like, I don't have it in me in the beginning of my transition to teach them, because I was the person who was being like, you're being an asshole. And, like, I was one of those people until I really took a look at myself and I worked on myself. Then I'm able to take criticism. I'm able to educate. I'm able to not take things personally. Now, if you're, like, being very intentionally mean to me, I'll fucking cuss you out.
Yeah.
But with my dad, then with that, he said, you're my daughter, but every time I look in your eyes, you're still my baby boy. And I think that it's something a parent is just, the love is so deep, and people would say that's offensive, but it's like, it's not even like that. I think, like, they have to go beyond. It's like, your identity, you've changed your identity, and at the same time, it is very valid and it's true. But at the same time, you still had this entire life, and that's what created you today. You can't just erase it.
Yeah. No, and I think the fact that you had said that you took some time almost like away from your parents, I think it was also easier for you mentally as well, because I can't imagine you trying to educate and teach them while you're doing that, what that would have done to, like, your mentals.
Yeah.
Of, like, you're already focusing on so many other things, and the transition that you're making in your life to have now someone, like, almost try to convince you out of it when you've already made that commitment. And I did want to ask you, when you did make that commitment, like, what was it that switched or that really made you make the decision to say, okay, you know what, I want to move forward with this transition?
Oh my God. It was literally like the puzzle pieces. Like, I literally remember the moment it snapped. I was driving, and I wish I had the recording still, because I remember I was recording because I was talking to myself, because I started crying in the car because I was just thinking, and I'm like, because it was when I was taking the steroids, and I was growing a lot of hair and everything, and I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And then finally, I feel like I was just thinking of everything, and it was everything about, like, when I was thinking of when I was as a kid, and I was thinking of myself as a woman, and then a conversation that I had with my friend Aubrey Nicole, the first trans girl I ever met. And then it was after my breakup, so I was with this guy for 2 years, and so it was just so many different changes, and it just really clicked for me, because I'm like, maybe you just don't want to be in this body. And so I was good looking before, you know what I mean? And, like, I would love for that to be in another person, but every time I looked at myself, I felt like I was looking at somebody else. I felt like I was playing a costume. I felt like I was pretending to be somebody. And then finally, when that acceptance came over me, I felt like, oh, this is going to make me feel better, because now I don't have to pretend anymore. And then as soon as I started therapy, that's when therapy, like, saved my life.
Yeah.
And it really helped me become really self-aware, and I didn't feel like I was wearing a costume anymore. Even though I still lived, I was I had short hair, and I was, like, wearing, like, wigs and everything as a woman months before starting hormones. And they don't do that anymore now, because I think they were saying, like, it's like it causes a lot of stress. And I understand for places maybe like in Arkansas and for like Kentucky and stuff like that, yeah, it probably would be, but I do think that it is really good for your mental health, and honestly, just like it makes you a strong fucking person.
Yeah. And you had said something about also the relationship with your parents at this point, and you still have a relationship with your father, but then your mother no longer.
Yeah.
Was that because of?
No, it wasn't because of being trans. Part of it was, but most of it is just other family trauma, just because like it's very just narcissism and everything like that.
Really?
So that's why me and my dad are best friends. I love my dad so much.
That's awesome.
Man, I'm so glad that we had you on and that we have you on and kind of shed some light on a lot of these issues. And you seem like, again, I mean, Chris said it earlier, you were guided very properly, it appears to be. And, you know, I think when people are young, you know, you could, a lot of times you make decisions that later on you regret.
Oh, for sure.
And I think it's so important to, because a lot of stuff is irreversible and it changes your life forever. And you have to really be sure that this is what you want to do. And I think that's I think a lot of people have a problem where like the whole trans movement, it's like they feel like it gets pushed onto the minors and children and little kids and stuff they get taught in schools and the books and all that kind of stuff like that. And I think to a certain degree it is happening more than it was back then.
Oh, for sure. I think that
I think that's a problem.
I think there was a thing in the UK. I think female to male surgeries under age rose by 4,000%.
Yeah.
I think that was it was on a Joe Rogan podcast that I heard that. I love Joe Rogan, but so yeah, no, it's crazy how much it's being pushed because like especially with like the mastectomies and everything. Like personally, I don't think that if you can even get a fucking tattoo,
I said, yeah.
then like why? How are you gonna cut off your tits? Or how are you gonna have all these things? Now I think that if you do have a huge, like literally over 10 years of evidence, you're going to a doctor and you're seeing a therapist, and like you've been seeing a therapist since you were 8, and now you're 16. Okay, then there's more like leeway that I do think, but it's like it has to be so documented and so strong and without a reasonable doubt, like you're in fucking court.
But I will say this: when I was 8 years old, I didn't know about trans. I didn't know about like it was just not really. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you have a different experience, but I didn't. You know, it was never taught about in school. Yeah, I knew what gay people was and stuff like that. But it's like it wasn't like an issue. It wasn't like, oh, I identify as I don't know. It's like no, you're a boy, you're a girl, and you like girls and you like boys, and maybe you're a boy and you like boys, whatever, or vice versa. But it wasn't like it is today, and I think that's crazy.
But we're also talking about before you came, how back then there were probably the same amount of people who were feeling like that, but I feel now they're more comfortable of speaking about it. So now that's why we see an increase or a rise in this. It's not almost like, oh, everyone's being brainwashed. I think to a certain degree there is a level of, hey, I've always felt like this. I just now finally feel comfortable enough to speak out more than maybe back then. You speak out and then you get shot in the alley because they're like, oh, fuck this, you know, like some sketch shit. So I feel like now there's just more of more openness of wanting to say. I am a little concerned of the extremes that it gets to, but I do think that, you know, this has been a thing for.
I just think that like it's important for kids to be kids, and for parents to take the responsibility of teaching them about, you know, the sexuality, and if they wanted to teach them, if you're the parent and you want to teach your kid about transgenderism and gay,
it's
and
definitely parents' choice.
That's your prerogative. You brought this kid into the world. I would like to believe that you know what's best for that child. I don't think it's a responsibility of a teacher or a counselor.
Well, to a certain degree too, then, because what if the parents are, for example, let's say that they're racist people, you know, and then they're raising children in order to, you know, be racist because that's what they believe. So I think that there's a really fine line, because I agree. I think it is the parents' role to raise and to teach and to educate, you know, of what makes sense. But then we can also argue what does make sense, because for a racist family, probably being racist for them, that's what's in them, you know. So what do you do then?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, obviously, if you there's going to be some parents who feel that way, like, oh, like, don't date, you know, black kids, don't date Asians, like, and that's always going to be the case. I mean, those are the parents, you know, up until hopefully that kid's going to make their own decision when they're 18 years old. But how can you influence that, you know? All you can do is bring your kids to a school, and hopefully they have teachers and counselors that are open, respectful, and you know, talk about certain things and don't talk about other things. And, you know, school is very important for the kids, and you could bring a kid to the right school. And I know some people might say, you know, I want to homeschool my kid.
I was homeschooled for a minute.
Exactly. I wasn't.
For
I mean,
a year.
I wasn't, but I can see maybe the appeal now, and maybe more than it was back then.
And
but
plus, I think that also, I think that school is such a good tool, but it is really about informing the family about what's going on. Like, I think that there was a big issue, I think, with the Don't Say Gay Act or something here in Florida, people, because they're telling, if they hear, they're going to tell the parents. Like, if you're trans or you're going by other pronouns, and like the teachers here need to inform the parents. Now, I don't think that's a bad idea, even if like the parents are gonna, like, even if they are hateful people. I still feel like parents are, they're supporting the child, they're guiding the child, they give birth to the child, like they need to know what's going on, especially. And I think that when schools I remember when I had to bring so many papers that said either opt in or opt out to my parents, because like they would have to get like for even sexual health or something like that, you could opt out where they would not teach you would not go through sex ed if your parents did not want you to. I don't even think they have an option nowadays.
I mean, I took regular sexual education. I think that's
I don't think I ever did in school, actually.
It did. Yeah. Like
because
biology and all that. Yeah, I think it was kind of like a segment.
Because I think it started. In. Because I remember it was in elementary school. I think it started in 3rd grade. But I had a paper. I remember telling my parents and other things too. Just things that would happen, or speakers that would come into the school and speak to us, just from stuff like at least my school had opt in and opt out, and it was from Polk County. And I do think that like they don't have that nowadays. Because I do think that if the parents like if the speaker is coming to talk to the kids, and I don't agree with them, I think that they should be able to opt the kids out of that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my kid listening to them. It's because I think that is it's balance, because you can give you can give parents full control over the kid when they're in school, but you can't give the school full control, because then it's just a battle.
Yeah. Sure.
And especially it's a good communication. You need full communication of what's happening, because then at least then you know what's going on. Like so many of these kids are going off, especially that they have social media and they're hanging out with their friends. One person turns trans, and then they think everyone's trans, and it's like everything's getting all mixed up and whatnot, and it's just a whole entire mess.
It's having kids is tough, because you have literally so much responsibility on your shoulders.
You have a whole entire
in
child,
life, just for yourself, and not only that, but then you also have to do the same thing for another tiny human being. And then you got your own life too.
Yeah, of course. But then you also they trying to figure out life, and then you have to make sure you bring them to the right school and the right like teachers and counselors, and you have to monitor that, and then you with social media, and so. Listen, I don't envy parents, but I think they do have a lot of responsibility, but they need to take accountability as well.
Yeah. And they're still learning on their own. It's like they're parents for the first time. They're like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Sure. I wanted to ask you about also a little bit of a polarizing thing when it comes to especially like sports, professional sports, and the whole trans community. For your example, like you are a biological male, but obviously you identify as a woman. Do you feel like you should be able to participate in women's sports, especially if it's like on a maybe professional level, or even if it's just kind of like,
I used to play sports back in the day. I did cross country and track. And so I think that the governing bodies of sports, they have a long way to go. There's so many different things. I know that I think that if you have your testosterone suppressed for like a year, I think that you're allowed to perform in some sports, and I think that it should be longer. I think that mostly, like, especially being castrated, I think that's a big part at least for trans women. I do think that you shouldn't have an option to ever like stop your hormones and your testosterone spike. I think that you should be castrated. Okay. I think that would be fair, because then it would at least really cause a lot of the decrease of testosterone in your body, because we're talking about athletes. And so if you transition late, you have the body of an athlete. You're not just some like regular person on the side of the street. Exactly. Like you're strong.
Well, like Leah Thomas, like would swim, like actually compete in swimming, and then it's like, won't do this anymore.
Exactly.
That's where it's almost like you have a very unfair advantage.
Yeah. And so with Leah Thomas, I know that the one they did like murder all the girls in that one. I know they also like they ranked 8 and 5 in another swim, but at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's just like, is this the best thing for like the forefront of sports? There's a lot of girls who are, especially in high school, like their scholarships are depending on this. Their life direction, like it's come from a family of sports. I think like some people, they use sports to get into college. It's very important for them to do that, especially if they're doing their best. But then again, it's like, goes into the thing as should minors take hormones, and it's there's so much intersectionality of everything, and I just hope that like I feel like my opinion doesn't really change that much with the governing bodies in the sports. They're doing the research, but they're so far behind. They have so much more to catch up on.
No, I understand, and I guess to a certain degree it's a complexity of issues. But I feel like, to me, and this is maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like if you were born as a male, and then you transition to a woman, I don't think you should be able to allow to participate in women's sports.
You think that they should create like a trans division?
I think depending on, I guess, but like how many people would you be able to fill that that division? However, but you made the argument, like let's say like you transition as an adult, you do have an advantage, a biological advantage. Mm-hmm. So should you be able to participate in women's sport? I don't think so. And to answer your question, if there's enough of a participating group, then they have their own division, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, I don't think I don't think people should be able to kind of switch genders and then participate in that genders.
Especially if you transitionally, I think that is a big like side eye.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you just have so much like you're tall and like you have different like the bone structure, bone density is different.
Of course, yeah, you do biological.
Exactly.
You can do the transition, you can do the hormones, and you can live a happy life. But you still gotta have an advantage. Let's say you're born a male, you want to transition to a woman, and then you should be able to do mixed martial arts and like beat the shit out of some of these girls. I mean,
whoa,
you gotta be careful too.
You didn't see the mixed martial artist? I forgot the name, but what transitioned to a woman, went into a fight against another woman, a biological woman, supposedly knee to the face, and cracked their skull, and then at the end it's like, yeah, you guys like that? And it's almost like,
yeah, it's like
almost
crazy.
how we started here though, because you're not even like trying to like show like, oh yeah, you know what, I am a woman, I want to be seen as a woman.
Yeah,
it's almost like, dude, like what's your motive here? Because it just doesn't even make sense. It's not even fair. I
was watching the story where I guess it was a born a male. He transitioned to a woman, and he was playing, I think, volleyball, and he it was at college, and he
what is it? Male transition to woman?
Yeah,
okay.
But he was participating in a woman's whatever, and he spiked the ball so hard, hit a girl, and she broke her bone, her cheekbone. And it's like you do have an advantage,
for sure,
over other women who were biological women.
And then
now look, you have to watch out for the safety of the other people.
But at the same time, then it's like it's hard to paint the whole entire trans like community with a big stroke, because then female to male at the same time with sports with them, and especially if you have like a basketball player or something, like most trans men are 5'3", 5'2", sure. And so, and then especially when it comes to wrestling, and then because I know some people try to like argue, it's like, okay, if you're transition, you still have to compete with your own biological gender. So like I would compete with men, but then if a trans man competes with
all men,
women, it's really really hard. Yeah, it's with women. Yeah. Because now they're on testosterone. It's almost like doping, kind of, and it's really difficult. So it is like, it's such a complex conversation, and because it's like trans men and trans women can't be treated the same, but then at the same time, is that really equality? It's just like there's so many fucking things.
Well, I mean, we have a a men's league and we have a women's league, and too bad, because just think about this. Let's say the arguments that we have, right? That there was a man transitioned to a woman playing in volleyball, spikes it, breaks this girl's face. What if there was a league that said, you know what, guys, we're all gonna fucking transition to women and let's all fucking kick some ass.
Well, there was a soccer,
like, and then it's all women. No, I'm sorry to cut you off, but then it's almost like, well, what if in the next 10 years that starts to become a thing then where it's all men that are competing in women's leagues because they want to transition. Bro, when I was in high school, there was the school Columbus?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and I think right next to it there's a school, I forgot what, St. Brendan's. Right? And the rumor was that if you wanted to play baseball and you played on Columbus, you were a stud. And whoever didn't make the Columbus team, where did they play? St. Brendan's. So I feel like it's almost like that, where it's like, well, I can't compete in this one, but you know what?
The next one.
I want to transition to maybe now. So what if in the next 10 years, that just all that it becomes? Then where do biological women fit when it comes to sports then?
I think biological women, you participate in a women's sport, and if you transition, then you have to have your own league.
So so that's
right. You have to have your own league.
All right, we'll see down the.
If it explodes,
I would never get to that point.
I don't know. I don't
like, honestly, I do think that they should have more regulation with like transitioning and everything. I'm like, it's not just because I feel like a woman, I need hormones. I do definitely think that therapists, but also even I think that a lot of therapists, and this was on the Joe Rogan the podcast too, the doctor, she was talking about how a lot of them, if you do steer them away, sometimes there's new conversion therapy laws that are in place that some of them count as conversion. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked it up, so don't mob me over here. Sure. So, but sometimes, like, a lot of times doctors and stuff can get in trouble too from steering people away from hormones.
Really?
So, it's just like it's a fucked up world right now.
Something's going on.
Yeah,
there's something going on.
So I'm really hoping that we crack down on it, and plus, it's like trans people have been around forever. There's videos of this one girl she's talking about. It was from the 60s. This trans girl, she was talking in a video to like this interviewer, and they've been around since, oh my god, like back in the Roaring 20 parts of like French, what is her name, Cosinella or something like that. beautiful girl. She was actually one of the first people to get breast implants. So like we've always been around forever. It's just I think at this point of time, everybody is just trying to fixate on something that they might not truly believe in, or also like there's no big one definition for trans, and I think that is the biggest thing. What is trans? Like what makes you trans? What makes you what is a woman? What is a man?
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that it's socially it's okay for it to be fluid, but now when it comes to laws, there's no room for gray area in laws, and that's why it's very scary. That's
true.
why they are, a lot of lawmakers are just kind of like ignorant, where they're like, oh, even like drag, they're saying a drag is a man being dressed as a woman doing a show that's sexual. But there are still biological women who do drag and all those things. And so like there's so many things that a lot of lawmakers, they don't have knowledge on, and so they're putting these laws in. They're trying to make definitions that aren't just applicable to us, and it's because we are not making it easy for us to be like, okay, this is what this means, this is what this means.
Right.
Like everybody can be everything, and it's like, no, the fuck, y'all can't.
There has to be some sort of
there has to
order.
be-
And it's
Uniform.
It can't be a free for all.
everything is not a spectrum.
Yeah.
And, but you also have to understand that you said lawmakers, and Congress, the median age is I think it's like 65 years old. These people are ancient. These people do not understand the times of changing. And so when they don't understand. So the laws that they make might not reflect the direction the country is moving towards.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you have to be aware of that as well. Again, at the end of the day, the whole trans movement, it's complex. I think there are certain people who maybe try to take advantage of it. And I think it might probably be the minority of it. But again, they have probably the loudest voices.
Yeah. So I'm hoping just to be able to have this, like, just educate people.
Education.
And I think that's like my biggest goal is just like trans people, like me, transsexuals, are normal fucking people. We just want to live our lives. And I just think it's very important to be like, not all of us are trying to make a third way, trying to do this. It's like, it's just, I think that the most transsexuals are just very quiet because they don't want to cause drama. They don't want to be out in the open. A lot of people are like are stealth. Like when I danced at the Scores in Tampa. I danced at Lookers, and no one knew I was trans. The managers didn't, and I was taking everything. And I was like, the last thing I need is anybody knowing that I'm trans. Because I'm trying to make my money go home.
Really?
Yeah, and so that was terrifying. It was just a terrifying moment, and that was before I started porn. And so I was traveling down here. I was dancing at Club Extra and Club Atomic. Back, and that's a trans club, but Scores, that was a good time though. But it was terrifying. Always looking over my shoulder, everything like taping, everything. I was using duct tape to hide everything.
But then eventually, because I mean, we go from you, I guess, trying to hide it so you can make your money and bounce to now you just do porn.
Yeah.
So where was that transition? Because I guess there's something that in your mind made you a little bit more comfortable taking that next step, especially just.
I think that after pretty much like 3 years, because I started porn in 2020 and I transitioned in 2017. And it was kind of the moment when I really started loving myself. I think that COVID was a big part where I'm not dancing. I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. I'm finally really loving my body. And I was kind of being so depressed dancing. It was the same thing, talking to the same guys. It was just so boring. It was so boring. So then when I decided, because I have my marketing degree, and so I was gonna move to New York and do CRM service, like sales, cloud sales.
Okay.
And so I was looking at places in Chelsea, and then I was almost gonna either that or move to Brickell. And then I had this director like, "Oh, come work with me. I want to work with you so bad in Vegas." I was like, "No, I don't want to ruin my life with porn." And I did it, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually really fun. Like I get to like do whatever I want." And I was still like a baby in the industry, but then COVID happened. And during that time, I'm like, I'm going to move to Vegas. And I just packed all my shit and I left. And then ever since then, it's just been skyrocketed. Like this year, I got 2 AVNs. I got Performer of the Year for XFIZ, Performer of the Year for Pornhub, Performer of the Year for T Awards, Performer of the Year for AVN. Shit. So I've just been on a roll. But like the last 3 years, honestly, I just think that porn also gave me a voice and just let me literally see how much trans porn has changed in the last few years. I think that 6 years ago, if you worked with a trans girl as a guy, you would have been blacklisted. Like you wouldn't. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like if you're
a guy, if you're a straight man and you worked with a trans girl, like 2017. Really? No. Yeah. And that's how new trans, like how accepted we are in the porn community. Because usually we'd only film with like gay guys And back in like 2013, my friend Domino, she sent me this message, like a memory, and this one girl, she's just like, oh, this tranny fucker wants to work with me, but I care about my health. And like very adamant, like very transphobic, very like there's not like there's very different world. And so right now we are like pioneers in this new industry and how it's changing. And so like shooting for browsers, just starting shooting trans porn, and a lot of these other companies. I was Dorcel's first, it was such a different site, their first trans scene. And a lot of these new guys are working with trans girls, and it is still a big deal for them, because especially as like as a Black performer, as a Latino performer, the community, especially in porn, it's a big step, and a lot of times it can like actually still get you blacklisted on some of these companies. Some agencies still won't work with you. A lot of agencies don't like really represent trans girls because they don't know the market. So like during the last 3 years, it's been such a big change in the porn world, and that's what I've been trying to really like. I love pushing the envelope. I love being fucking annoying, but not annoying as in like, okay, get the fuck away from me. They're like, I'm trying to like teach them like, hey, we can do this, you do this. At the very last, like the worst thing that can happen if it doesn't sell, just never shoot trans ever again for your company, but at least just do it once. And I love women, I love men, I'm bisexual. And honestly, I didn't even like girls until I feel like I transitioned, because I liked girls before, but it was weird as in I'm like, I just felt like as a gay guy, it was just weird. I was like, I just feel weird. And so now as a woman, I feel like it turned from I want to be you to I want to be with you. Like it's not something that I strive to be anymore. It's something where I'm so comfortable in myself. And it's like with women romantically and sexually, it's just something that's like I'm not putting myself onto them. It's just something that I can truly enjoy them as a person, as a separate entity that I didn't have before, which is interesting. But yeah, so usually with a lot of these studios, I've been trying to be like, hey, you can shoot me with her, you can shoot me with him. I just want to make a really good scene. And also, I'm like, trans sells. Trans is like the 5th biggest term now on Pornhub.
Really?
Yeah, it had over 100% increase in the last year. And it's been...
fucking facts right, Marvin.
Yeah, it's the biggest one. And
exactly.
Honestly, though, in the last year, trans men porn has actually, I think it was by 200% increase. So pretty much female to male. That they have increased way more than male to female. But overall, I think it's the 5th most viewed genre now on Pornhub.
All right, speaking about porn, let me ask you this. So, because we were having a discussion not earlier before you got here, and I'm curious, if I'm a guy and I have sex with you, am I gay?
I don't think so.
I
do think that there's a lot of gray area. So I think that trans women are feminine beings.
Okay.
I don't like saying trans women are women. I think that trans women are feminine beings. I think that women are feminine beings. Like it's about femininity and masculinity. And at the end of the day, if you think that genitals are a priority, I think that's a personal preference.
Okay.
To me, I think a lot of times beyond the labels of gay and straight, I think that people are attracted to masculinity and femininity. That's why when girls get drunk, they start making out with each other. And I think that, you know what I mean? It's because they like both.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that they're lesbian, or it doesn't mean anything. It's just they like what they like, and I think that they're attracted to femininity in the moment. And I think with me, even if a guy is sleeping with a woman and she's using a strap-on on him, I don't think that makes it gay. So I don't think that if I'm strapping a guy or with my organic strap, and I don't think that was gay either. And so I do think that we get so caught up in labels because of something that came up so long ago. And honestly, I think it's very I think gay, straight, all that came very religiously from religious times. I think that it's much more fluid than we think. And I think it is mostly masculinity and femininity that we're attracted to.
But then if you penetrate a guy with your penis, that wouldn't make it gay?
I don't think so. Because would you think if a woman penetrated you with a strap on, is that gay?
Well, no, let me ask you. Let me let you just take that.
If a woman
put it this way, you eat ass, right?
Yeah, sure.
And you like,
sure.
You don't know when they eat your ass.
Yeah, of course.
Fuck it, right?
Eating ass is great.
And listen, and what about some finger play? Because supposedly we got our G spot and the prostate.
Yeah.
I don't think you know what? Yeah, I don't think it's gay. I don't think it's gay.
Yeah. I think a lot of times it's a very personal. I will never say I'm like to me. I would say this is how I believe. I do think that sometimes people they think that if you get your fucking dick sucked by like a trans girl is gay or something like that. Some people believe that. And I'm like, it's so fluid and it's so hard to say like, oh, this is what it is. I think it's a very personal journey. I think sexuality is very personal, and I don't think anyone can tell you what you are and what you aren't. Because there's a lot of guys out there that are like gay for pay, and they're like, oh, I'm straight, but they're taking some dick. It's $20. It's $20.
The right price.
You know what I mean? It's very like, I think that I think that the labels of gay and straight are just so
subjective,
antiquated and like so old.
Antiquated.
I was like, I don't know the word. Gotcha. Antiquated. And I do think that a lot of times it is about femininity and masculinity, because I'm like, okay, so if you were gonna fuck, oh my god, I hate saying this. So this is what Andrew Tate said.
What?
So he said, okay, Hulk Hogan with a pussy and Megan Fox with a dick. Who you fucking?
Oh,
I'm fucking Megan Fox with a dick. Yeah.
You're not gonna fuck Hulk Hogan with a pussy?
No, exactly. You just scoot the dick over.
Well, that was kind of your argument here, because you're like, oh, it's still the ass, you know, like
I said, yeah, and I did say it's subjective. A little bit.
And I think it really is about just like comfortability and just like how it is what happens in the bedroom. And I love being with couples, so I have been with lots of men and women, and like so many girls are just like, I want to see him suck your dick, and I'm just like, all right,
Claudia.
So it's just like, it's very like, and like she doesn't think it's gay in the moment, you know what I mean? It's just something that's very,
they're kinks.
It's exploring, and so I think that it really is. When I think about gay straight, I think it's romantic. I think it's, if you want to be with a man, if you want to be with a woman, I think that is really when it starts blending the lines of like, if you want to be with a man, then you're gay. Okay. But if like you're sleeping around and like you're swingers and you're doing some fucking crazy shit, I don't even think that makes you gay.
Who do we have on this? We had on many years ago who's like a sexual.
David Hernandez.
Was it his name? Mr. What is it? He had like a name.
The guy in the first studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wore all black. Yeah, I was literally gonna bring him up. David Hernandez.
Remember?
We're on the same wavelength right now. I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Remember what he said? He's like, "Whoa, like whatever happens in the bedroom with your partner,
Facts.
that's between you two."
Yeah.
Literally, you're in here right now, bro. You're in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, he said that. He goes, listen, whatever you do behind closed doors with you and your partner, that's your business. It shouldn't be anyone else's business. What they think, what they say, their opinion. Who the fuck cares? It's with you and your partner. If that's what gets you off, that's what gets you off.
True. And then it gets to what you were saying. Like if you want to date a man as a man, then okay, now that's okay, then that's one thing.
Yeah.
Or if you're a woman, you want to date a woman, marry a woman, whatever, have family with it.
And if you want to date a trans woman, I think it's because it's like the social perceived gender. It's like me and a guy. It's a very straight relationship. Me and a girl is a very lesbian relationship. So I think that's like very and I've been exploring my lesbian side as well. Again, lately when I started porn, I think that was when I really was like, well, I actually really do like girls. And then except with me, it's like with a girl, I need her to be able to know how to strap. I don't like being with a woman who sees me as just being like the penetrator, being like the top. I like being versed. The same with guys. I need a guy to give both if I'm going to be a significant other with them.
Do you prefer doing scenes with a man or a woman?
Women. I prefer my scenes with women because it's so much easier, honestly, because like I like topping both pussy and ass, but like on set, it's not real sex, you know what I mean? It's like you are doing some acrobatic shit.
It's work.
So yeah, and plus and pussy, I always say pussy's like a hug, and you beating up an asshole. You're just fighting for it. Okay? It's like you're fighting for it. It's tight, and it's like sometimes it cuts the circulation off. Pussy wet, it's a hug.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Damn. You're beating up that ass.
Your ass is gonna get beaten. You're beating your ass tonight. Where's Claudia at? I'm gonna give you guys a gift. Supposedly they're selling them at Target now.
Oh yeah,
fucking toys. I'll get you.
I have one question, and
Yeah.
when you said it a little bit earlier, is a trans woman a woman? Because you had said something. Oh, I'm not gonna say that a trans woman is a woman. Do you think a trans woman is a woman? Or what is a woman?
This question.
So no, sorry, I have to.
So I say that trans women are feminine beings.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're all human. I think that is like kind of like the cop-out answer, but I feel like there are so many differences that as a trans woman, a cis woman would never know. She won't know transphobia. She won't know fucking tucking my dick. I don't know about like being so terrified to tell a man that I'm trans if on a good date, because like we met and we've been talking for like 30 minutes and I'm like, but then again, I don't know how it is for her to be pregnant or to have a period. We know sexism. We know being fucking catcalled. You know, we share so many things, but we're so different. And so I do say that both women and trans women are feminine beings, but I can't say I'm not a cis woman, and I don't like using cis as a word because it is a very polarizing topic now. So that's why I just say women. Yeah. But then again, like I've been in a group of girls of like 20 women, and I never disclosed that I was trans, and like no one knew, no one treated me different, and it's like those are the moments when I'm like, trans women are pretty much women. But it's still like it's in social aspects, I think. I see what you're saying. I think on the when it comes face value, yes, because like there's nothing happening down there in a social setting. When it comes to personal relationships, when it comes to everything else, like my ex, I just got out of a 1.5-year relationship in February. We broke up, and I was his first trans relationship, and he was straight, and so much of like I wouldn't say insecurities, but I would just say so a lot of like masculinity issues, a lot of like, okay, am I gay, am I straight, or like there's so many things where like they have to figure it out. I figured all my shit out at the beginning, and it only got easier from there. For a lot of guys, they become with a trans woman, they're with a trans girl, and then they're going through so many wobbly stages with their family, with their friends, and how they're seen in public, and it is a lot, and I do have empathy for that, but at the same time, I think that overall, in social settings, if you live your life as a woman, you're going to be perceived as a woman. It isn't until like the very personal down and dirty things is when the big differences happen, and that's why I always say trans women are feminine beings.
Good answer. Very nice. You want to go?
I did have a question. Yeah, when it comes to relationships, because I feel like you're like famous now. You know, if they see you, you're like recognized.
Yeah, I was recognized literally at the airport when I was coming here. He said, "You look really familiar," and I was just like,
"I wonder where."
And then this other girl came up when I was in Tampa for my friend's birthday, and she's like, "Oh my God, is your name Rose?" And I'm like, whenever a girl says that, I'm like, "Oh my God, hi!" And she's like, "Me and my husband watch you all the time," and I'm like, "I love that. Let's send him a picture."
Oh my God, cool.
So yeah, I get recognized like every month now, once a month usually. So it's crazy.
Yeah, no, but the reason why I asked that is because, so then you talked about your last relationship. Did he know who you were before you guys started dating?
So he was in the industry. He used to manage a lot of like Insta girls, like Insta
models
and stuff like that. And so we were actually neighbors, and that was when we met. And so at first I wasn't looking to date. I wasn't attracted at all. I was like, okay. And then we just started hanging out more. And then I like really fell deep in love. And then we had a good run, but it's just not what I wanted. And it is different now because I don't know if I could date someone who is like a fan. I don't even know if I could date someone who's in the industry. It just is easier to be with someone who's in the industry because they know what's going on.
Understanding.
But I do want someone who is like my ideal partner is someone who's bisexual, because either if it's a man or a girl, I want to suck some dick with them. Okay, I just think as like if I'm gonna live my life with you, I want to have everything. I want to have guys. I love adding other people. I love exploring. I love doing. I'm a freaky bitch. So having everything of just like I want someone, a girl who can strap, who can take it, who wants to like fuck another guy or another girl, or same thing with a guy who can take in their ass. There's so many things that I want. And I want someone who's fully versatile as I am, because my ex wasn't, and that was when I realized, and I'm like, I cannot date someone who's a top, just like a pure top. Which is like, they didn't want to get fucked in their ass. Okay. So I was just like,
I don't understand. I don't know. So speaking of what he was, just to piggyback off of what he was saying, do you disclose that you know when you start dating people?
Telling you,
absolutely, because I'm like, I'm not gonna waste my time if they're not gonna suck my dick.
That's how I feel.
Motherfuckers paid. Y'all hear this right here? All right, take notes.
Me on a first date.
I'm just like, yeah, literally. So now I tell them very early if I meet somebody. I'm like, one time I was talking to this guy for like 20 minutes. I'm like, hey, really gonna tell you something, because I knew the direction. I was like, okay, I'm feeling it. Then then I'll tell them. I do remember at the very beginning of my transition, and this is something that I really fucking hate, is that I didn't disclose. And that was the moment that I was like, I think that really instilled in me that
You should.
yeah, he was Arab, and I was drunk, and we're getting back to this place, and I was just like, no. And I was like 2 years in, and I was passable early on in my because I was heavier. I was 25 pounds heavier, so I feel like the weight actually really helped, and I just couldn't get it out. I was so scared, and I could then, as soon as I'm like, no, and then like he pulls down, and then he just takes me by the neck and shoves me against the wall, and I'm crying because I think I'm gonna get my fucking throat broken in half. And that was a moment when I'm like, this is not a fucking game. And ever since then, like that was like 2019. That was when I was like, I tell all these girls, I'm like, don't play with your life. Don't be
scary.
It's fucking scary. And the scary thing is that a lot of other guys too is like, they'll know, they'll fuck you. And if they think that you are going to tell someone, they'll kill you. I've been with, I was in Overtown with this guy, and that was not a good place to be.
Overtown, like here, Overtown?
Yeah, he was gangster, and I was like, I need to get out of here. Because like he was down, but honestly, I was like, I already knew if I ever told anyone, I was going to get shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not where I should be at right now. So yeah, no, Overtown is not a good place.
I knew that. Yeah, you're not telling me.
Yeah,
that's scary.
so-
But yeah, I think it's important to kind of disclose that. No, like, wouldn't
Yeah,
you wanna
definitely.
know?
I always tell people now, and I always tell new girls, I'm like, don't just tell them, and just like, and like, why would you want to be with someone who's not going to be with you?
But I can understand. Maybe it's. I mean, you know better than anybody else. It's kind of scary to tell somebody, and it's like I guess it's a personal thing.
It is,
too,
and I think that now, I think we live in a good age where it's like you can always be in public, you can always be online.
Sure,
so you can
sure.
give someone a number. There's so many times when I give someone my number and I'm alone with them or something, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take your number because they're hitting on me.
Sure,
and then I'll tell them after I leave. I'm not gonna tell them if I'm like only there with him by myself.
Fair enough.
So I'm like, that feels very like scary and dangerous. Or guys are like, if I have a vibe with them, or it's just like, or they're walking in my car, I'm like, okay, I'll text you when I go home, and then like, I'll text them like I'm trans when I'm gone.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, I'm never going to like have something happen sexually and then not tell them. After that incident, absolutely fucking not.
Yeah, what about, imagine you're there with some girl, you know, you're out, you're talking, then all of a sudden you take her back, you're like, oh yeah.
Oh my
you pull her pants
God.
down, you see it.
And it's like,
That'd
Well, I
be
don't know,
so-
you look like a person that probably be like,
no, but like obviously that's something you wouldn't. No, of course not. But like you want to know about that stuff,
Right.
You know, now I wouldn't fucking beat the shit out of you, but some people might.
Yeah.
yeah, I can see how, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've heard stories, but this was years ago of like, maybe it was, like someone who was trying to take like a man back, and then they wouldn't say that they were trans.
Yeah.
So then almost like trying to like, hey, you know, we're here. Look, let me tell you the situation. And then just kind of, you know, hey, you know, it's cool. And then they, you know, trying to still
That's
do
what
it.
happened. That's what happened. Or
It was years ago, but I think that's what it was. Basically, it was like it was, you know, it was a trans person who was trying to take a man back, and then that's what it was. Like
Yeah.
they were just trying to be like,
this happened to you?
no, no, it was some sort of video. But yeah,
Oh.
so then I'm thinking, instead of you like saying it, maybe they're trying to almost like convince them, like, hey, we're already
Convince.
here,
we're in the
like,
moment.
Right.
Fuck
you
it.
know.
I do think that nowadays, at least from all of my girlfriends, like there's way less tricking. I think more back in the day it happened, but now I think especially like
If social media,
guys,
too,
and
you know?
and like guys, like there's so many guys who know what they want, and like we know that they like trans girls, and I'm like, I love a guy who knows what he wants. And I like a guy who like likes trans girls or has experience. I don't want to be with someone who has never had experience with a trans girl because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're using teeth, and I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Jesus Christ. But I guess they got to get experience somehow, you know.
They do,
Maybe
but not
from
with
you.
me.
Somebody.
You can watch your scenes, yeah. What's it? Oh, you had commented really early on, and I don't even think we just had kind of flew right past us.
Probably.
You're castrated,
Yeah,
so you have the penis,
I have my dick.
but nothing else.
No, so I actually got castrated. Oh my God, 4 months into my transition. That was really early because my friend talked me into it. Because she's just like, I had spironolactone is a testosterone blocker, and it was giving me the worst like joint pain, I feel like it was like depleting my potassium. So I was getting muscle spasms. I was like, something's fucking wrong with me. And so you can't just stop taking testosterone blockers if you have your balls. So this doctor, he did it. I was on the Daily Mail because I flushed them down the toilet. Because he let me keep them. So, yeah, like a goldfish.
Jesus.
And they flushed them down the toilet. And like, honestly, and then I had a hematoma. Oh my God. And so like literally my ball sack was like the size of like a grapefruit for like 2 months. And it was like leaking. I had to wear a pad for like 3 times. I'd change it 3 times a day. And I was in college at this time. Jeez. So literally, and I was so uncomfortable. So afterwards, about 2 months afterwards, my testosterone like plummeted. And it was it was actually very depressing because it was like you go from having I had high testosterone already before, and so having no testosterone. But right now, my doctor is amazing, and so I don't have to take a testosterone blocker. So I take estrogen, progesterone. I take a testosterone cream for atrophy to make sure that it doesn't shrink because I had shrinkage, and so
yeah, I saw a clip from the podcast that she was with.
CJ Sparks. That's how I found y'all.
Oh yeah,
I was inside OnlyFans.
I was doing homework on CJ at that point, and then I had come across you, and then you were literally saying the same thing that it shrinks.
Yeah, I was like 6.5 inches, and now I'm 5 inches, and like it like shrunk a lot, and I was like, no. So and then so now with testosterone blockers, it's fine. And then I use like this like penis pump thing to help do the blood flow because it just helps with like scenes and stuff. The good thing my directors are like, you're like one of the few trans girls that don't have to use anything to get hard because I'm just a horny bitch.
Oh, so, wait, really? Because is it harder as a trans woman?
Yeah, so you have atrophy, and then estrogen helps, it counteracts. So I take Cialis every day, and then I take Viagra for scenes, but I don't have to use like the injections. I don't have to use an implant. I don't have to do any of these other things. Because I saw the other guy who was talking about the penis implant on their last one. Yeah, and so I know a lot of guys important who have that. And so I'm happy that I have really good blood flow. And also like where your tendons are, right where your thighs are, that's where a lot of the blood flow for your dick goes. So if you use like a massage gun and stuff like that, or like squeeze that, you get more blood. And so you have a stronger erection.
Wait. Can you have a massage gun? Where was this? Me too. Wait, what do we do?
It's like right here. It's like, it's where, so if you open up, so I have a skirt.
Oh, that's on the inside here?
Yeah, where it's really tight, where like tendon is, the blood right there, that's what supplies your, like pretty much your erection.
Really?
Yeah. And so then also I take DHEA and pregnenolone, which are over the counter, and they help with prostate health. So even though I don't have balls, I still like shoot loads. And it's like not white, it's just clear.
Yeah, because there's no.
And so before, it's blanks pretty much. But like before, I was like not shooting anything. But I started with the DHEA and the pregnenolone, which helps increase the free testosterone in your body. And so it's amazing. Every guy should take it if you want bigger loads. DHA and pregnenolone.
Have it at the vitamin shop.
And so the vitamin shop. And so it's really great. And then I
used to work there,
together they're amazing because I think that a lot of times with especially trans girls, I think that some of them have really low libidos. It's because they don't take the testosterone or their testosterone's too low. And a lot of the things that are overlooked is your sex binding hemoglobin.
Yeah.
And so if that's too low because your hormones are out of whack, like everyone's different. If your hormones in unison, you have less the sex binding hemoglobin. It blocks your receptors, so it lowers your libido. So like my testosterone, I keep it around between 50 to 100, and I keep my estrogen between 100 and 200. Between that, then it's like she's always ready.
ideal levels for you. Okay.
And you need to take that for forever, right?
I take that forever. But it's nice. Like I'll never have to go through like if I stop taking my hormones, I'll start having like after 3 months I start having like hot flashes, almost like. I feel like it's like menopausal, like because it's like I have menopausal levels, but during that time I'll get like hot flashes and I'll just be like super apathetic, and it just feels like a shell of a person at that time. But I used to take the injections, but I hate the injections, so I just take the pill every day, like morning and night, twice a day.
Okay. Interesting. No, I mean we
have a little list.
I had a little. Well, we covered pretty much everything.
Did we really? Okay.
Yeah.
And more.
Like what?
We covered
no.
and
more.
Yeah.
No, we covered a lot, and I'm very happy with this podcast, actually.
I actually learned a lot. Like, I'm actually happy that we had this conversation because, again, the algorithm is feeding me some toxic shit when it comes to like transgender.
Oh, for sure. And that's
that.
the saddest part is
Right.
like you just is chronically online. All these people, it's just like you think it's like this, and then you meet the people who are living in their daily life, and like they're just fucking actually happy to be alive.
Yeah, but it's very different though, because the way that you're sitting here and talking and how composed you are, and you're very like confident and you're secure in yourself, the way that you're delivering the message is very different from what you see. To your point, a lot of it is very clickbaity and they wanted to get attention. The way that you talk about Andrew Tate, like a lot of the things that he says, it may not really be that he believes it. It could just be that he knows how to trigger people. You know, sense story, share to people, whatever. And I feel like that's kind of how I'm getting targeted with these reels and stuff. But being able to actually sit down and have this conversation in the way that we did, it really, I want to say, I don't want to say it changed my mind, but it really did open my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, about really educating myself and really trying to understand.
That's the best you can do is just educate people. I didn't think I was like, you can't go tell people and they like, oh, I completely understand. It's like, yada. I'm going to change my mind. It's just the best thing you can do is just educate and use that as a tool for people to make their own decisions. And I think a lot of times now people just want to change people's minds. And I'm like, no, it's like, that's not the goal.
Right. And that's with almost everything. And that's always something that we say on this podcast where it's like everyone has their own opinions. And if I'm going to share an opinion with you, I'm delivering it in a way where I want you to challenge me in the sense like, because I want to learn your position, you know, but I'm not the type of person that then you'll share your position with me and then I'm gonna be like, no, because I believe this. I don't think that's fair. I think that we all have our own opinions, our own beliefs, and being open to just accepting it and just learning and educating and just trying to be one and make everybody happy. Nobody has it all figured out, you know. We don't know what the fuck we're doing half the time. So the fact that, you know, we can just come together as human beings and just love one another and just accept us for who we are instead of forcing people. Yeah, I think that the community and just the world would be a lot better place.
Yeah, no, and just to kind of close it off, like I mean, the other day I was at a function and there was a group of guys and we were talking about the trans movement and stuff like that, and they're a little bit older than me, but they were saying, oh, I don't understand. I had some mental illness, this and this. And again, and I was like, well, you don't understand. And just because you don't understand doesn't mean it's wrong or it's they deserve less than you or, what they were doing is somehow like a mental illness. Like you're not a psychologist, you're not a therapist. You, just because you don't know, it doesn't mean it makes it wrong for them to do it. And the same conversation that you guys are having, that it's a mental illness, it's abnormal, it's sick, there's people were having the same conversation about gay people, 70 years ago or even 50 years ago, interracial dating. There's always certain things throughout time that people don't understand. And just because they don't understand, they feel like it's somehow less valuable or it's wrong or it's immoral. Like, you have your beliefs, you have your values, but just because it doesn't align with yours doesn't make them less valuable.
Exactly.
And so I think
it may not be your jam. But
it might not be your. As long as they're not hurting anybody else, it's not you. Maybe not your cup of tea, and that's okay. But you have to be open about it, and you have to be accepting, and you have to be welcoming. As long as they're not hurting anybody else, who the fuck gives a shit?
I think also being very understanding in like where they're coming from, and I tie it back to how you're delivering this and how you're talking to us. It's very different when we're in a sense where like, I'm learning so much by asking you questions instead of me like instead of chastising you for what you're saying, because I may not believe, but it's very different. I feel like it's just, again, the way that you're delivering it because you want to help, you want to educate, you want to actually just have the conversation. It's very different from what we'll see where it's like being forced
online
upon some people. And like that's where...
And you have to walk on eggshells around me too.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
Like exactly. I welcome all the questions. I'm like just ask me anything.
I wanted to ask you about the whole, the past couple of months, the whole controversy has been going on with in terms of the trans community, the Bud Light, partnership with who's this? Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah, like people lost their shit. Yeah, canceled Bud Light, shot the bottles, threw it out, all kinds of stuff. People melting down, losing their mind when Bud Light. For them it was like a business move. They thought it was gonna help them out. Turns out not so much.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts? I've told if I got to ask you earlier.
So I think that you need to read the room as a trans woman. Dylan Mulvaney is very smart in the way of marketing and capitalism, and she's making her money.
Sure.
But also I'm like, why is Nike using her as a sponsor instead of a trans athlete or someone who's actually doing sports, someone who's actually doing something, or like someone, it needs to fit. It needs to fit, you know what I mean? And like, I'm not going to take money from Bud Light. I'm not going to take money from Nike or something just because I'm like, oh yeah, I would love to do this. I want to make sure that it reflects very well on my community. So India, I think it's India Moore is her name. She was on Pose, which is on a show about ballroom. And she was always super adamant about like, I'm not going to be in this show unless it's showing my community to the best of its ability, and it's raw and it's powerful and it's like in a good light. And it's because like anything that you take, it's like, yeah, you can take money from like a company, but if it's not going to show you in a good light, or if it's not going to make sense, like, why would you do that? So
yeah, I'm all about inclusivity if it makes sense for that specific. If it's a business, if it's a product, but I guess she was for March Madness or something like that. It was a partnership.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah. And she didn't even know about what March Madness meant. She didn't participate in any sport. So how did that make sense?
It didn't at all.
But they partnered up with them, and then people like, you know, and it doesn't. I mean, I don't really give too much of a shit about it, but people do care.
Yeah, they do. It's something that's like a tradition. And that's the thing, is a tradition from years and years, family, generations.
Right.
Like literally, especially very sport-forward families, they're definitely going to take very big offense to it because they're like, yo. But even then, I mean, Bud Light, I think that they had a really old, I think it was from the 80s commercial that had ladies' night drinks free, and like they had a fucking commercial and it had them all like guys in drag. And it's like they've always been queer forward, definitely in June, and they have a lot of things that are for gay pride, but it's always throughout time. I just would have used a different person than Dylan Mulvaney because that's a very polarizing person. Use another trans person. I saw all these things with Blair White. So like use like someone who's just like on that side, who drinks blood, right? Who is their target? Yeah, as someone who is like maybe a trans conservative, something like people would have been like, "Fuck yeah, she's fucking hot." Put some titties on the bottle.
That would be,
I think like, I honestly think Dylan Mulvaney's almost like a snake, really, because in the way that she's just going about like delivering the message, it just doesn't feel genuine to me.
It's very,
and that's why I'm a little bit taken back. And I think that's another reason why I'm like almost like shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's like, and it's over and over and it's droning, and it's like that's where it's very just in your face everywhere. It's like Kate Spade and Nike and like there's so many other brands, and I'm just like, and it's just piling up because it is that one person, and it's so virtue signaling and performative. And it's just like, do your research on the trans community. There's so many beautiful trans models out there, trans activists, people who are actually putting the fucking work and not just going to the White House and asking, oh, well, I feel like this. And like, no, what can you do to actually make it very safe for trans people? Like, ask the hard questions, grill that bitch. Okay? It's just very like looking like some Jackie O knockoff.
Right. Yeah. I just feel like every single time like Dylan Mulvaney says something, like there was a speech that she had said, and with these fake tears, I forgot what it was, but she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go off script a little bit right now," and then went off on this rant, fake crying, all this stuff. And I even saw Matt Walsh did a segment about that where he's like, look at these alligators or crocodile tears. It's like, bro, this isn't even real. Like, this is all bullshit. This is all like some sort of show that they're putting on. Doesn't even like they don't even mean it. But yet that's the message that's being portrayed. And it's like, I don't know if that's the real goal of the LGBT.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of times, I think the biggest goal is to be accepted, but also to live a good life. And a good life is not fighting everybody. A good life is getting along with everybody. It's middle ground. It's compromise. It's like you can't have everything in life that you want. It's because just because you want it. It's because everyone has to live in harmony with each other. It is a big ass world.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest takeaway, especially, and that's why I say read the room. If like you don't fit that demographic, then why are you gonna take that sponsorship? It doesn't make sense.
It feels like so many of these companies on. I hate this term,
like with Target.
Target.
So with Target, I think that so they do this every June for Pride Month, and I do think that conservatives do lose their shit over nothing, in my opinion, for Target, because they do this every year. Yeah. Everybody changes their logos, and then on July 1st they say, "Get the fuck out, faggots." Like that's literally that's how it feels like, because it's so performative, it's so fake, in my opinion. It's very capitalistic, but and I can say that because I am one. So, yeah, I just think that a lot of times it is blown out of proportion. But also, if you look at Target's demographic, yeah, there are a lot of conservatives, but there are a lot of liberal people. There are a little people that go there, and so it does fit that. It's not like Walmart's not doing that, or like Whole Foods isn't doing that. So it is just like, it's the 1 month, and it's just I think that some of these companies are very just like, I think like Burger King, they did one where I had like 2 top buns and 2 bottom buns for last year, and it was like top and bottom. I was like, what the fuck? This? Yeah, it's just, yeah, they do crazier things every year, and of course I think that it is every year now getting more polarizing, more polarizing. So I do think that I just hope that everyone would just stop losing their shit, and also just like stick with the companies that are supporting LGBTQ throughout the whole entire year, because everyone else is just doing fake bullshit.
Yeah, virtual signaling. But also I feel like at the end of the day, and it's kind of hypocritical for a lot of conservatives to like, they lose their shit, and it's like, dude, it's a free market. I thought you were pro capitalism. Yeah. If they bring out a product that you do not like, then don't buy it.
Exactly.
Like, it's a small section in Target that maybe has the flags and the rainbows and all that shit like that. You can just walk past it.
Yeah.
Or if you feel like, well, Target I don't want them to give them my money. You go to Walmart,
so many other places.
To Whole Foods, go to Fresh. Like, there's so many other like stores to patrol, and so give them your business. But it's like, also they're saying, well, they're anti-cancel, they're against cancel culture. Every time there's something they don't agree with, I'm gonna boycott, I'm gonna cancel. It's like, dude, like, so are you pro boycotting, or are you against it? So it's like, dude, it's a free market. If they bring out a business that you don't support or a product, go somewhere else.
I love capitalism. So
that's it. They can
do what they want.
And so at the end of the day, I don't know what companies are doing it, because it seems to be hurting the bottom line. So like, why are they virtual signaling? Why are they going woke or whatever the fuck? But at the end of the day, as a consumer, you could choose.
But to her point, I mean, there's a way to, I think, properly go about it, and if you're just gonna be picking like we're talking about Dylan Mulvaney, who the fuck is this? Is this the best person to be doing that? And it doesn't fit the demographic, doesn't fit what they stand for. So if your job is just to be woke and to, I gotta fit in with trans because it's a hot topic right now, it's like, why this person? Like, who is this person?
It's so they got popular because from day one of girlhood is that they started every day taking their estrogen and pretty much talking about their journey. But my thing is, this person got their face done in a year. They got so popular. I'm like, the first year of your transition is the most traumatic, the most depressing, the most like, so much shit that you're going through, and I'd never give it for the world. I loved it, you know what I mean? Because it's like you are learning about yourself, and you're having body changes, and your tits are growing, and like there's so many things. Like, because I had when I was heavier too, I had natural B tits when I was 175 pounds, 150 pounds now, but everything grew naturally, and then I lost all the weight, and I was like, okay, let me get my tits done. And so that first year for most people is very, very, very traumatic, especially like people who are from low income, or people who don't have access to surgery or access to like a healthy support network, people who don't have friends that they can talk to. Right. I'm really happy that like my friends at the beginning of my transition were all women. Like they taught me how to be a woman, how to act like a woman. This is how, like, I wasn't surrounded by people who were like, this is what I think a woman should be. I was actually like, this is what womanhood is. And that's why I think that during that first year, you have the mind of a little girl, and you grow into a woman. And I think that I think around my 3 year mark was when I really grew into my womanhood. And now I feel like I'm a fool. Like I live in my womanhood because of my learned experiences as a woman in my daily life and how everything has happened and shaped me to this time.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
What would you say to someone who's considering transitioning?
Oh my God. I would say, listen, make a lot of friends that are women, so like cis women, like don't listen to everyone who is trans, don't listen to everybody who is like, who hasn't lived their life. Listen to a lot of old people, honestly, because I feel like I learned so many things from like just people who just have experience and who are just every day is not a statement. Every day isn't, like, honestly, when I wake up and I'm a woman in the morning, it's like boring. I don't know. It just feels normal. Like, if you wake up and it's like pumped and you're like, yay, it's like, okay, well, tone it down. It's not that exciting. Like, honestly, like, I think that when you're really comfortable in your identity, it's just like you don't even think about it anymore.
True. No, what was I gonna say?
I'm sorry.
No, you good. No, I like that. That was a good talking point. But no, I forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm not getting up the.
That's okay. But no, I mean, I'm glad we kind of started this segment again. Just kind of piggyback off of that because it came to my mind the whole thing with Target and the businesses and the world we live in right now. It's just like people getting woke and stuff like that. And
I think that there's an index rating
that
they've heard
some social credit score.
Like, and like I think that I don't know exactly what it entails, but I do think that they're able to get maybe like more funding or more whatever. I think follow the money.
I did
really
hear that too. I heard that too. Yeah, that you have a certain score that because you're not, I guess, participating in this, then it's not going to give you the score that you need in order for funding. But for me, I'm still trying to understand what's the point of it, though.
I know. It's like at the end of the day, I think that you should just really appeal to your base, to your audience, to someone who has been loyal to you for years. I think that that's the best thing is just having something that like you have a community.
Yeah. No, I'm all for inclusivity, but it has to make sense. It has to be because they're targeting the right market, etc. I was watching this video on TikTok, and there was a marketing company and a marketing department in Iceland. But they all it was like a bunch of group of women, but they all look the same, you know, Icelandic women. They're blonde, they're tall, they're white. A lot of comments are like, oh, there's no diversity. And somebody was like, oh, like, they're in Iceland, dude. Have you been to Iceland? There is none. And then somebody was like, oh, well, you know, but they can fly in some people from different countries.
Oh my God.
But then it wouldn't be Iceland.
And then, it's like, dude, there's, and then somebody else was like, oh, like, why would they fly somebody else in when they're in a country where they have capable people that can do the job? And it's like, it's not all about inclusivity. It's just about depending on where you are and depending on if they meet the needs for the business or whatever, they work there. You don't have to. This whole bullshit about inclusivity. Just try to please everybody.
Yeah,
you know, you don't have to have everybody who's gay or straight or black and white or whatever. Like depending on where you're up, hire the best people. And if you're in Iceland, they're gonna be fucking white and blonde and
tall as fuck.
Yes, and that's okay. You know, and so I saw that and I'm like, I don't understand.
That's what I hate about social media. I feel like people, they feel so powerful behind the little keyboard.
So powerful, oh my God.
So then they can say that, but then it's like,
dude,
like it's such an idiot comment that I can't believe. And then you see, what pisses me off is I see someone just put a comment, they're just doing it to get the fucking likes.
I think so too.
You can fucking tell. And then what really pisses me off is other people feed into it. Then it's all the likes on the comment and then all the replies, and I'm like, you suckers. I can't believe you guys got sucked into this argument from this idiot. Literally exactly what this person was trying to do, you guys all fell for it.
And it's like, bam. And then like 30% of my like TikTok comments are all hate comments.
I bet.
That's like crazy.
We get some dumb comments on Instagram too. Like some people, sometimes I look at this stuff and I'm like, dude, like you are so dumb.
Yeah.
I know, but sometimes I love it because they'll be talking shit and I'm like, you know, you're commenting on my podcast, right?
Right.
Like you're on my world. So thank you for helping me out, you dumbass.
Come on, engagement.
Yeah, keep it coming.
Fucking ass. I guess we can start closing it off. Oh, final thought. You know?
Oh yeah. So at the end of the episode, we always have a final thoughts, and these final thoughts is basically anything you want to say to your younger self, any message you want to share with the world, or something that's just very impactful for you that you just wish everyone could kind of take in. You can say it to the camera, you can say it to us, and then after that, sell yourself wherever you are, where they can find you. I think an easy Google search will pull up a lot, but please, the stage is yours.
Always take your time and just be confident with every move. Don't second guess yourself, but just be a sponge, and always just like take the advice for what it is, and just like take things slow. Take things very fucking slow. You can find me at ohitsamarose.com. All of my socials are ohitsamarose. It's OHITS Emarose. Or if you just type in Emarose Trans on Google, you're gonna find a lot more than you bargained for.
I had searched Emma Rose before you got here. I'm like, all right, let me look a little bit, and I'm like, wait, this doesn't look like the person. Then I put Emma Rose. I think I put porn.
Yeah,
because you had told me, right? So I look at that and I go to videos and I'm like, oh,
a whole lot of dick.
a whole lot of everything. Let me tell you, a lot of stuff going on. Pretty fascinating. Let me tell you guys.
Check it out.
Worth a search.
But yeah, thank you so much, Emma, for coming, for being honest, for being vulnerable, and educating us, and hopefully our audience as well. I know they're gonna be grateful for that. So it's gonna be a great segment.
I agree, and I thought this was great actually. Yeah. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for another episode. Emma, thank you so much also for coming on and educating with that. So next guy. Until next time, guys.